So as usual, if anybody has to say anything or any questions.
So Maharaj, I want to understand what exactly Dhriti is. So is it more like a specific force, or is it more like
Force or persistent effort which holds our mind and body together, and which is or dependent on our will and effort, so that we can control that and direct that effort towards the highest goal.
So is this coming from the will?
Will is another part of Dhriti. Will is another name of Dhriti.
So will Dhriti be an amalgamation of different forces of concentration, willpower, or so will Dhriti be the...
See, amalgamation means if you give a force 10 names, it will not make it 10 forces. Force is one, which is regulating our whole mind and body. That force or effort, you can give it name willpower, some psychologists can give another name, 10 names. But the force is one. That force is to be directed to the highest goal, the scriptures say. And that power has to be increased. Increase it, then turn it towards the right direction.
So is that force prana or will?
Prana is a manifestation of that force.
Right. So
Prana is regulated by that force.
So then if we go to even one step before, so willpower is your consciousness and your coming to the mind, right, essentially.
See, again you are going to, why give it 100 names? Whether you call it willpower or any kind of power, that power and force is one, which is regulating each individual's psychophysical mechanism. That force or effort is Dhriti. Now it is acting on various levels: physical, mental, spiritual.
So it is only one power.
Yeah, one force is regulating that.
Right. So, and to cultivate it, you mentioned cultivating, but what are...
Cultivating, that is all sadhana is all about. Cultivating, trying to control the mind, trying to control the organs, not letting the mind and body do whatever they like.
So all the previous learnings apply to it.
Tamasic Dhriti, is that Dhriti at all? Because here you are not really doing it.
Yeah, that is a good question. So here you can translate Dhriti as kind of understanding, more of not of force or effort, but a kind of what he says, because of wrong understanding, clinging to something. That is, it is not that he has to force himself to sleep. Nobody has to force himself to sleep. But here Dhriti is more of clinging, not letting go those bad things.
This is a synchronization of the forces going towards the highest goal. So,
You can call it synchronization also. Mental physical.
Is there any problem of we don't know where the goal is?
If you don't know, that's why the scriptures are there. We don't know. That is why we need the Gita. Otherwise, we won't need the Gita.
So Swamiji, yesterday you said Anthakarana and there are 4 parts, and Buddhi is one. So Buddhi and Dhriti, they go together.
No, that is, see, Buddhi and Dhriti means what? When Dhriti is regulated by your mental efforts. So, when you regulate Dhriti, you have to take help of all the aspects of the mind. Is it not? When I am given something, so when I start cogitating, then I come to a decision. So when the mind is functioning in that way, behind all this should be the power of Dhriti. If that power is not there, I will not reason properly. I will not make the right decisions. So all these functions of the mind are guided by some power, is it not? That power is Dhriti. general meaning is in our day-to-day life, general meaning is when the dhi means the mind, dhi is another short form of buddhi, becomes sama. Sama means completely calm. Completely calm. That is sama. So when the fluctuations of the mind constantly fluctuating, here now, tomorrow, somewhere else. So slowly through practice, by concentration, by renunciation, by discrimination, when these grow slowly less and less, either through devotion or through knowledge or whatever way, then a time comes when there is only one way, that's all, same. That is called one wave only rises. That is the definition of dhyana. Only one thought of God. So now what happens? Thought of God, thought of the movie I saw yesterday, thought of visa, maybe one more thought of God, like that. But when there is only one thought, it becomes dhyana. And dhyana leads to samadhi, that is total absorption. So those are the one by one ladder. First, practice the basic things, yama niyama, shocha, santosha, tapa, dana, all these things. Then yama niyama, then asana, learn to sit still first. Then pranayama, regulate the breath. Then pratyahara means organs, don't let them run wherever they like. Dharana, holding the mind at least for a few moments on something. And dharana, when it is practiced again and again, it becomes dhyana. Dhyana leads to finally samadhi.
So Maharaj, if the rising and the falling is all together one, so that's dhyana, then is there samadhi, is that the cessation of everything and just like a flat line, or?
I don't know. When we all have, we will realize that what is exactly.
No, when you said
We cannot understand at this level. Total absorption in the reality. That is samadhi. That understanding is enough for us. Other than that, we cannot understand.
So Swamiji, there are these different states like tamasic or rajasic, even sattvic and some level. Especially tamasic and rajasic, it seems that when we are in those states, we are not aware that we are suffering because we are
Yes,
in the middle of suffering.
everybody is aware that he is suffering.
We are
But
aware that we are suffering.
problem is one thing, a dull person becomes begins to take suffering for granted. Suffering does not affect him if he is not sensitive, he is not cultured. Same kind of suffering will not affect him as it does a cultured person. For example, Swami Vimohananda said that unless if a barbarian is there, absolutely what we call uncultured person. So if you tell him politely, it will make no effect on his mind. So Swami Vimohananda says, till he is given a one beating, he won't understand. But if a cultured person, even if you say something impolite or rude, it will hurt him. So here what is happening? He says the more cultured we become, the power of enjoyment increases, but the power of suffering also increases. The mind becomes sensitive. Like a black cloth. You put more and more black there, nothing will happen. But a white cloth, even a little black will show up. The white cloth is a cultured mind. And that type of mind feels intensely not only one's own suffering, but also the suffering of others. And when he cogitates, he starts thinking, what is the way out? An ordinary person will not even think. There is one song. Again, it is from a film, but it is very educative. The song is like this. this should not be our attitude. What I'm saying is a very famous song. ये जीवन है, इस जीवन का यही है रंग रूप, थोड़े गम है, थोड़ी खुशियाँ, यही है. This much. Then he says what? He says somehow adjust with that. ये न सोचो इसमें अपनी हार है कि जीत है, इसे अपना लो जो भी जीवन की रीत है. Vedanti will say no. क्यों अपनाएंगे? We won't accept. We will go further. We won't accept laughing one day, crying another day. No, we don't want to cry. For that we don't want to laugh also. Because laughing will go with crying. We want to go beyond both. We want to be free. Free from all influences. Free from the forces of nature. So that is the difference.
So Swamiji, then when we are suffering, if we resist it, won't the suffering increase?
Why?
But if we accept it, wouldn't it help us to?
Then what do you mean? You keep on suffering and accepting suffering.
I don't know.
Then what is the difference between the human being and an animal? The human being, the difference is that he wants to go beyond, he wants to rise higher. Why will he go on suffering like an animal? And for how long? He cannot do it. His very nature will force it. Man is not born for this. He is born for the highest purpose. Ultimately, one day he will be fed up. Alam dukshena. Again there is a song. और नहीं बस और नहीं गम के प्याले और नहीं. Enough. Now I want to go beyond.
Swami, I think what he is saying is that at the moment when you are facing something, like you are actually suffering, then if you let yourself suffer at that moment and learn from it and then move on.
That is what we have seen.
Yeah.
That's what we should. But he is telling that resisting suffering will increase suffering.
At that moment.
At that moment.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like it. It's so bad, so hard. That's what I'm saying.
No, that is not that weeping. That weeping and willing is not mentioned here.
Yeah. So when you say resisting, it's like I don't like it. I don't like it.
No, that is not resisting. That is giving way to suffering. That is not resisting suffering.
I mean,
You are being influenced by suffering. Means you are becoming susceptible to suffering. So resisting means no. I will not let this thing dictate me. That is resisting. The more we can resist, the more we can go forward. Any other? I know I'm taking too much time. So